to the Mintner method. I'm Andrew Mintner, and on today's episode, we're going to break down the Sun Belt Championship game. Now, this is going to probably be a pretty short video. I don't feel like I need to go super in depth when it comes to this matchup. I think it is one of the more obvious spots. Okay, so when it comes to the early down data, you can see that Marshall is okay. They're pretty decent, a little bit above average, 35th. One thing that's really bad is Louisiana just cannot defend the run on early downs. They're 70th overall. And so, that could be something that they would probably take advantage of, but they're not elite at doing this, right? Versus coming to the opposite side where Louisiana is 10th in early down EPA, so an elite level there. Again, very similar here, good at rushing the ball, but very good at passing the ball. And then, Marshall is okay at defending a little bit above average there. But the running part is where we're going to see the biggest effect, in my opinion, okay? So Marshall is, let's look at the scheme real quick. So yards before carry, yards before contact, Marshall is 10th overall, producing 2.68 point yards before contact. Louisiana is 80th overall. And you have a vast advantage here for Marshall on this side. So a strength on weakness, right? When we come down to the same thing, Louisiana might even have a more prevalent advantage, right? So, and this is what I mean by that. They're also 30th in yards after contact, 11th in EPA per rush. So there's a big advantage here for both offenses, mind you. But we're going to dive even further into it so you can see where that kind of breaks apart, right? So Marshall is running zone schemes 58% of the time. That is Louisiana's biggest, I would say, weakness. They're much better against man concepts when it comes to blocking. But they just don't run at high enough clip, in my opinion. So the flip side to that is Louisiana runs zone schemes at the fourth highest rate, 83.7% of the time. They are very good at running zone schemes, and Marshall is even worse, okay? So 100 dead last and yards before contact on zone scheme running. I mean, they're allowing 3.24 yards before contact, mind you, on those zone schemes, okay? And then as we're looking over here, from a man scheme perspective, they're not fantastic either, much better. But that's not Louisiana's bread and butter. They're going to run zone schemes all day, basically, when it comes to this. From the modern offensive side of the ball, Louisiana does have the play-action game in their back pocket, 5th in play-action dropbacks, 8th in EPA per attempt on those dropbacks. Marshall is very good too, 16th. 59th, though, 29% of the time, so not as high of a clip. When you're looking at the motion side of the game, Louisiana, they optimize motion, 47.9% of the time, and they're 3rd overall in EPA. So, their motion actually really makes a difference. And where it really makes the difference is in the running game. They're 15 times more efficient running the ball with motion than without. Passing, though, pretty similar, 0.256, 0.212, so nothing. They're just good, right? Marshall, on the other hand, they're a little bit above average, but these are not elite numbers for them. They are good, though. Let's not get it twisted, but they are not, upper echelon when it comes to that type of stuff, right? So looking at the most efficient overall, the play action, the pass attempt that it has play action and motion involved in it, they're doing that at a very high rate, 25.4% of the time, and they're 8th in EPA per attempt on those attempts. So that is optimizing exactly what they're wanting to do. Marshall does it twice as less, but they should probably do it more because they're pretty decent at it. So we're going to look at how the modern defenses defend these tactics. We'll see what we can come up with here, right? So Louisiana is they're a little bit above average in defending the play action and the non-play action. Marshall is about the same, really. I mean, when we're looking at it, they're a little bit better at non-play action attempts and a little bit worse at play action attempts, right? So when we go to the motion side of it, you can see Louisiana does struggle overall versus motion. Okay, they're 98th in EPA versus motion attempts. Marshall is 45th on those, but they do struggle against non-motions. I mean, this is not something that's kind of shocking. They're 125th against non-motion attempts, and that's something like Louisiana is good at those attempts too. It's not just, they have to implement motion to be good, right? And so when we look at the play action and motion pass attempts, Louisiana is solid. They produce a negative EPA, whereas Marshall is actually pretty bad against these type of attempts. And this is a concern considering that Louisiana does it at such a high clip at 25% of their plays for passes. That's going to involve a play action and a motion. So that is something right there. That is something to kind of write home about. And then this is the other part, okay? So when we're looking at the personnel, you can see that Louisiana in 11 personnel is really good. They're good all the way across the board. Fifth overall in EPA. They run it 59% of the time, so slightly below average. And Marshall is not fantastic at defending it, right? So when we look Marshall on the opposite side, they're good. They're just not as good, all right? And then the part that really is probably going to be the difference in the game here is going to be from the 12 personnel side, right? Both of these teams, Marshall and Louisiana, are bad at defending 12 personnel. Marshall only runs 12 personnel 10% of the time, though. So that's something that really, and when they run 12 personnel, they rush it 84% of the time, which is good because Louisiana is terrible against 12 personnel rushing the ball. But the same concept over here. Okay, the difference is Louisiana is running 12 personnel 3 times as much at 33% of the time. They live in these their offense is based in these two coverages, and they live in them, and they're really good at it, right? So going to the advanced statistics, the cap is if you haven't caught on to it yet, Louisiana is they have an advantage running the ball, and they are looking to exploit that. And again, here it is, 108th in efficiency, 117th in explosiveness allowed. And their offense is able to take advantage of that. Now, I know you're looking up here, Louisiana is not good defensively in a lot of these advanced metrics outside of limiting explosive plays. They're 3rd overall. That is like a shell type defense that they're running that helps them limit those type of explosive plays. Now, when we go to the passing profile, this is not a gigantic cap for me, being that the running game is where I'm leaning and putting my thought process on, right? Okay, so they do throw the ball short a lot. Louisiana does, ninth overall, 47.5%, and they're decent at that. Okay, so that's kind of where they're going to live in that aspect. And then they're actually really good at throwing the ball deep, 3rd overall in EPA per deep attempt, and they do 13.8% of the time is solid. It's not anything crazy, but that is really solid. And then when you're looking at Marshall, they're bad at throwing the ball short, which is shocking. That's usually one of the layup type routes that offenses usually want to get them going. And then when I look at the defensive side of it, those are the Power 5 defensive sides of it. This type of the ability for them to struggle in those areas is concerning to me also. But another thing that we need to look at is going to be the designed quarterback runs and the scramble stuff. So Louisiana is good in the yards per QB design, but not good in the EPA. So just kind of interesting. And then they're below average in the scramble. They're bad. They're bad and below average all the same. Marshall, on the other hand, is pretty solid. Against the scramble, a little less, but nothing crazy, right? So when I come to look at the overall, profiles that I'm looking at for these teams, I see, this game kind of playing out one or two ways, right? Excuse me. You have this insane three-headed monster for Louisiana. This is pretty similar to what they do always and have done even since Elijah Mitchell was there, right? And as you can see, that is their primary focus. They want to run the ball and they want to run it a decent amount with success. But that is not taking away from the passing attack, okay? Woolridge has played well, 8.8 yards per attempt, does not turn the ball over. That is again, I feel like this is something that with these group of 5 schools, if you have a formidable rushing attack and a quarterback who does not turn the ball over, you will compete for championships in your conference. It's just that simple, So let's take a look at Marshall's defense, the game logs when it comes to the rushing side, which is going to be probably where this game is decided. All right. This is what's most concerning to me. They're winning these games, mind you. They beat James Madison. They beat Old Dominion, Coastal. They've had a good run here. Their losses are Georgia Southern, Ohio State, and Virginia Tech, right? All, 2 of those completely acceptable. But this is a lot of rushing yards in the last 2 games here. And they're getting away. They've won back-to-back games by 1 score. And the James Madison game, I feel like it should have been a lot. Should have probably went the other way. But I digress. I think realistically, this has the potential for Louisiana to just get up and just continue to implement their game plan. And the reason I say that is there's just not anything about Marshall that really, they're good. They have some good players, good running back. Braxton is a quarterback who can run a little bit. But 17 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, that's an incredible ratio. He is not being asked to do a lot, though. They are 2 quarterbacks, here, they're averaging 25 attempts a game. I just don't know if that's going to work here. I don't know if they're going to be able to put together enough plays or control the ball enough to where they can keep it out of, Louisiana's hands. Because if they get 45 attempts, averaging six yards a clip, this game's going to be over. They're just going to run all over them with little to no resistance. And so that's going to be the side I'm going with. I think the line is up to 4.5, 5.5. Jesus Christ. So that's probably the highest line of the entire weekend, which is probably the best part about the new conference realignment, is that the games are all looked at as competitive. I do feel like Louisiana can implement their primary attack, rushing the ball, and they're better throwing the ball. Just in the margins. It's very close, but I do feel like they're going to cover this, and I feel like they should win by 10 plus if they can implement their game plan and run a clean sheet. So that's going to be it for today's episode. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, or comment. Share with a friend, a loved one. Almost through all the videos for championship weekend. It's a lot of content to take in all at once. So I do have a Substack that is linked in the video that you can go read. I'm doing some articles, weekly ones. They're ancillary things like prop bets and things of that nature. Because I just really enjoy writing. That's kind of where I got my start. But yeah, so other than that, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.